This is the Man in a Room podcast.
This is Man in a Room. It is a podcast, You're listening to Man in a Room.
Hello and thank you for joining me for this episode of Man in a Room. How's it going? How's your week been? My week's been alright, nothing to really complain about per se. You know, it's just a bit hot at the minute, and then sometimes it rains. Sometimes I have to sleep with my fan on. I don't like doing that too much because, well, it burns electricity, part one, and also because it's very noisy. But the white noise can be helpful sometimes to sleep, and I wondered to myself, why talk about this at the beginning of the show? There is no reason. It's just something I wanted to share with you. So I had this random memory come back to me quite recently, and I wanted to share it with you. I've actually done a little bit of research for this as well, because, I'm trying to make this better than what it was. And I've actually asked around for my family's memories of said memory, just so I can get more of a scope, because I was quite young when it happened, you see. So the story goes, when I was young, my mum bought me a book. This book was bought for me from a jumble sale. And, it's just a comedy book from the 1970s. And as we all are all aware, 70s humour doesn't really date that well, especially when it's like from the Carry On movies. As years have gone by, I've really gone off Carry On films. If you're not aware what a Carry On film is, Carry On films are basically a bunch of innuendos strewn together by risque outfits and slightly questionable either characters or whatever. It's very of its time. It's a little bit like nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Aren't we being filthy? Ha ha, but not really, because we're not really saying what we are doing, but we're not. That kind of stuff, I hate innuendo now as I'm older. Really, really hate it. I won't go into that right now, but innuendos, ugh. Although, funnily enough, I love, what's his name? I've loved him so much I've forgotten his name. I can picture him right now. Kenneth Williams, there we go. I love a bit of Kenneth Williams, but then he also didn't like the innuendo stuff either, even though he had to make a living, really, unfortunately, because he was much wasted in the Carry On films. Anyway, let's not get into that. We're not here to say about how Kenneth Williams was, a slave to the Carry On films and all that kind of stuff, because he kind of was. But anyway, my mother bought me a book from a jumble sale, second hand, and it was called Barbara Windsor's Book of Boobs. Now, on the front cover, it had a picture of Barbara Windsor in her underwear, undoing like a little bow just near her chest, like, ooh, my boobs, But the thing is, that's not what it was. That's not what it was. It was not that at all. It was using it in the tense of, oh, you've made a boob, or you silly boob, or you foolish boob, you boob, He-Man, all that kind of stuff, to make a boob, you see. So that was the joke, that was supposed to entice people in. Barbara Windsor's, oh, you might see Barbara Windsor's breasts. No, it's just a bunch of little skits and silly, like, I don't know, satire and all. It's all that kind of stuff, you see. It's all harmless, bit seaside postcard. That's the best way of describing it. Carry On films a seaside postcard. The little raunchy little things like, oh, kiss me quick, hug me slowly, all that kind of stuff, or squeeze me slowly, and all that kind of stuff. And it's very English, but doesn't date very well. But anyway, so I was bought this book, and I must have been maybe 8, 9, potentially. I just want to just clarify, there was nothing sexy in that book whatsoever. The title was a little bit risque, but other than that, nothing was sexy with it. So that's the story, but the story does continue a little bit, because what happened was I love my book, and I love flicking through it and all the sort of the cartoons, and it was funny. And I took it to school, not thinking much of it because my mum gave it to me. So it's not that it's not bad because So I took it to school, showed my friends, they all thought it was funny, they thought it was hilarious, and this kind of stuff. And I remember someone sort of like took, what's the word? I don't know, they took offence, or they took it as something it shouldn't have been, and they told the teacher on me. They told the teacher that I was carrying around a book called Barbara Windsor's Book of Boobs. And so we went to a morning assembly, and my form tutor, Miss Morgan, took me aside and she said, "You'll notice that something has been taken from your bag. We'll be telling your parents," and all this kind of stuff. I went, okay, whatever. I thought, oh, I'm really in trouble here. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm in trouble. So nothing much really came of it. So I went home expecting to be told off about this. And my mum was all like, so they took your book off you, and they rang me up to say that they've confiscated a book from you and all that kind of stuff. And then she said that when the teacher rang her up, she said, well, as soon as it comes here through the post, he's going to get it back, but he just won't bring it into school. And it was funny because it was the first time in my life where a parent has overridden a teacher, to my knowledge. Because imagine going to school and being scared of not scared of teachers, but, very sort of, what's the word? You respect a teacher in a certain way. Like you have your teachers, you have your parents, that kind of stuff. They're the figure that you're supposed to look up to. For my parent one of my parents to override that and laugh at it and be like, well, how stupid is that? That is dumb. And I was like, wow, that's the first time. I was like, well, this is, it just opened my eyes, and, it was one of those moments in my life where I was all like, maybe things aren't quite what they seem. And, or just a little detail about the book. I wrote this down because I haven't got the book with me right now because I think it's still at my parents' house. On the front cover it said, "My boobs will give everyone hours of fun." I can understand why there was a mix-up on what it was, but my mum said, I bet they're looking through it in the staff room. And what really annoyed me is that I got it back and it had a coffee cup stain on it, on the front cover, like a ring, and all that kind of stuff. I was not impressed with that. I have got it somewhere. I just haven't seen it for years. It's probably in my parents' attic, and I'll be honest, I can't be bothered with it, so I'm not going to bother. But yeah, that sort of popped into my head recently. So I was like, oh, a bit strange. But there we are. That's the memory for you there. And yeah, one of them things, isn't it? So yeah. Anyway, let's have a quick sip of tea because I'm a bit dry. I stupidly brushed my teeth just before I started. Oh, that is nice. This tea I'm drinking right now is going to be reviewed right now on this new segment of the show called Tarot and Tea. It's a beverage and divinity. I don't know if tarot is divinity or not, but it is in my head because it rhymes, okay? So this tea I'm drinking right now is by the Maison Taillefer. I'm probably messing that up. I don't really speak that much French. And it's basically translated to sweet apple. It's a sweet apple infusion. It tastes like apples. It's really hot. It's really nice. And I like drinking it. Lovely. That's still a bit hot. But that's fine. We'll come back to that in a second. Go on. The other part of this portion is the tarot. Now, I don't claim to be a tarot reader, nor do I know much about tarot. But how hard can it be? So what I'm doing now, if you can probably hear me or not, is like if you can hear me or not, I don't know. I am shuffling the cards. Right. So what I'm going to do, this is for the coming week that is coming up. Right. Unfortunately, if you listen to this at a different time, well, it won't mean anything. Probably won't mean anything if you're listening to it currently. So it's fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 3 cards as they are. Right, there we go. We've got 3 cards. First one here is for the week that's just gone. So I see here we've got, I believe this is the 7 of Cups. And there's a gentleman there who's in a shadowy figure at the front. And he's looking at these cups filled with riches, including like jewelry. There's a snake, a serpent, let's say a serpent, because it sounds more mystical. Some sort of wreath. What appears to be a dragon, a house, and a head, a severed head. He's looking a little bit startled, so it's like, all these riches that could be mine or were mine, and look at all this stuff I've got. Isn't that cool? But he's shadowy, so it could be like it's from the past. So there we are. That's what we're saying, isn't it? Right. So that was the week that was. So then we've got here. This is a man here. It's the six of somethings. He's got 6 sticks here. It's a man on horseback. He's got legs that go down, and there's a horse there as well. And there's also another wreath. So the wreath is actually in it as well. Ooh, there's a theme here. So this part here, this bit is for right now. This is the present. So we look back on the cups, and our present is a man with a load of sticks, with one of the things from the cup on his stick. Ooh. So what that could mean is that he's, he's got, maybe he hasn't got what he wanted in life, but he's got something that he wanted. It could be the same shadowy figure. We just don't know, But, he's got some treasure, so it's not too bad. So, what you could have won, what you did win, and the future. Oh, it's judgment. Judgment. So this is what appears to be an angel. It's got the numbers 20XX on it. It's basically an angel with a trumpet, and it's got the what's that called? The England flag. The England flag, the St. George's cross, and it's looking down on the people. They're all naked in boats. It appears, or I think it's boats. I can't quite tell, but it's down to my interpretation. So what you gonna do about it, huh, buddy? As an angel with a trumpet. Judging I think they're welcoming the judgment of just give us the judgment. They're looking up at the sky, but look at the judgment. So yeah, so basically, look at what you could have won. This is what we did win, and just accept. I would say it's more acceptance, really, acceptance of the judgment of what's going on. So that's the tarot part. So we've got the tarot and the tea. Tarot and tea. It's a beverage and divinity. I don't know how long this will last. That's a hot cup of tea. Lovely cup of tea. So basically it's got a nice sort of cinnamon overtone to it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I like it. It's alright. It's one of my favourites. Another one next time. I'm going to have a quick break, and I'll be back after this short thing.
If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please do not hesitate to send them to show@maninaroom.co.uk.
Do you know what I really enjoy doing now? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, love it. I don't know what it is. I went for a massive phase of it when I was a kid, because that was like a fun thing to do. It's like, okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors. And then you're like, there's different ways of doing it. You do it behind your back. You can say ick, ack, ock. You can do all these kind of it literally, so much car journeys were killed just by doing rock, paper, scissors. And it's funny because you actually get to know the way certain people play. Like, you try and guess what they're going to do. And that's always fun because, there are people who play rock, paper, scissors just completely, tactically, but just don't. I don't recommend that. I recommend just playing it the way you want to play it, because it makes it more fun. It gets people to guess. There's a certain amount of, an element of randomness that people can't quite understand. And although saying that, it's very difficult to be completely random, they do say the only way to be completely random is in nature, and that is when leaves fall from a tree, and they literally will never fall in that same way or order again. So that's complete randomness, is leaves falling from a tree. Although they may make up some sort of degree of pattern because of the way they fell, but that's completely random. The human brain isn't as random as that. We can't be that random. I think computers can be quite random. I think they can be random, but the human brain isn't capable of randomity. Is that even a word? Randomness. There we are. And that's actually quite fascinating, I find, that the human brain tries to be random. I actually remember when I was at school, it was fun to try and be a bit random, because there's the sense of humour. I grew up watching Monty Python, and there was other stuff like Smack the Pony, which is all a bit more surreal and weird. It's not the unusual, the way things would turn out on the screen. Another one called Big Train, which to this day I absolutely adore. Just for the horse putting the makeup on to The Way You Look Tonight. I love that. It literally just, I showed my sister it the other day and she thought it was really funny. She hadn't seen it, or she hadn't seen it for a while, and she just forgot what happened. And it's just, the randomness. But what I used to find is that people, when they used to try and be random, they'd always say the same word or the same thing, and they'd be like, oh, mongoose, because mongoose is a funny word, and no one's expecting me to say mongoose, because it's funny. No, it's not. That used to be like one of the most common random words people used to come up with, which it goes against the grain really of it being random. But it's the same with rock, paper, scissors, you see. You try and thinking, okay, so I need to do this, I need to do this. So what I do, my randomness is that I'll just keep doing the same one over and over again. Like, okay, have this as random. Dush, dush, dush. Yeah, I'm still beating you. Isn't that funny? Until they catch on that it's paper. So I'm doing rock continually. They'll start doing paper. And then it's like, at some point they're going to expect me to change, but I don't. And I found this little trick when I've been playing rock, paper, scissors with my niece. My niece is 7 years old, and it's funny because whenever you try and play rock, paper, scissors with a kid, they don't overthink it. They are literally more random than we could ever think to be, because they're young. They don't know about the whole tactics of rock, paper, scissors and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually quite interesting. As adults, we are conditioned to overthink, and it's a very weird thing to think about, really, isn't it? Although what I quite like about rock, paper, scissors, and I think it's one of the main reasons why Pokemon worked so well, is because it's basically rock, paper, scissors. Like you have, I don't know if you've ever played Pokemon, but it's a computer game based on rock, paper, scissors, and you get different monsters that fit in your pocket, and you've got like a fire one, you've got like a grass one, and you've got a water one. So the idea is you've got the fire one. The fire one can be beaten with water, but fire is very good against grass, you see, because grass burns, you see, it's quite good. That's how that works. But then you've got water. What's good against water? Grass, apparently. I don't understand what that's all about. But then you've also got it works out. There's like a little I lost my train of thought on that completely, because I was just trying to explain. Like, you got fire burns grass, grass cuts water, water dampens fire. That's how that works. And I think it's like, at the time there was like 15 types. Now there's like a million different types, and I can't keep up with it. But there used to be a certain amount of tactics involved, and it used to be quite good. And now it's just they run it into the ground, and it's not fun anymore. And rock, paper, scissors, she needs to make a comeback. Just keep it simple. I would say just do that. Keep it simple, because that way it's just better. Because overcomplicating stuff basically means over egging the batter. And I don't know. I've lost my. I don't know. I'm not even talking about it anymore. But let's put it this way: your task, should you choose to accept it, is to play at least a best of 3, ideally a best of 5 game of rock, paper, scissors with somebody. Okay, let me know how you get on. Let me know how you felt when you did it. Let me know how the person who you played with, like, you can literally be like rock, paper, scissors, and people will just jump straight in. That's a general rule I found, because everyone knows the rules and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about the Big Bang theories, rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, because I don't understand it all. I mean, it makes sense from what they've said in the show, but the Big Bang Theory is a show for people who think they're smarter than what they are, because they're watching smart people make jokes about smart things. And this is the same with Rick and Morty, to be fair. People watch these shows expecting that it makes them smarter, but it doesn't. It doesn't make you smarter. It's, you don't understand what's going on, but you're just laughing because there's a laughter track. Not on Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty actually isn't that smart. It's just it's interesting. It's intelligent to the point where you have the different ideas of different timelines and that kind of stuff, but it's all not really, let's go get a plumbus. Do you know what I mean? It's not, you know what I mean? Nothing against Rick and Morty. In fact, I love Rick and Morty, but people tend to think that watching Rick and Morty makes them smart, but it doesn't. Not at all. It's just dressed up fart jokes, and I think even they would admit that. There are obviously some deeper level stuff as well, like philosophy stuff, and I like that element to it because actually it's very smart on that in that sense. Thanks to the person blowing your horn. On the deeper philosophical level, but a lot of that's lost on most people. Listen to me being a big head. Yeah, watch the Midnight Gospel on Netflix. Yeah, get back to me. No, don't do that. Get back to me on the rock paper scissors. I want to know how you're getting on with that. Anyway, I'm waffling on now, and it's time for me to go. So I'll be back again next week for more of this. Hopefully another session of tarot and tea. We'll see how that goes. We'll fly up the flagpole, see who salutes it. And I'll be back again next week. And until then, I'll say goodbye.
Who is the man? Where is the room? It's some guy you've never heard of, in a room you've never been in. For more information, head over to maninaroom.co.uk.